and welcome to the Irish Arsenal Gunner podcast. It's the 4th of January 2023. I'd like to wish all our listeners and viewers a very happy new year. And of course, to my regular guests joined today is Eamon Donnelly and Carl Osborne. Happy New Year, lads.
Happy New Year.
And thanks for joining me today. I'm your host, as always, Jonathan Jones. You can catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel and also daily content on the Dublin Arsenal Instagram page, thanks to Martin Stumble. Without him, of course, the show wouldn't be possible, so thanks to him. Also, thanks to our sponsor, clubgolf.co.uk. Use Dub Arsenal 10 for a 10% discount. And as always, throughout the season, you can go catch all the matches in the official Dublin Arsenal supporters bar, which is, of course, the River Bar. Last week we had over 84 views for Wednesday show, so thanks again to all our listeners and over 2,700 subscribers now to date, so onwards and upwards, lads. On the show this year, or this week, being the new year, of course, we'll be doing our review of our 4-2 away win at Brighton yesterday. Great game. Bit nervy at times, but a win's a win. We'll also be previewing our game tomorrow night, or Tuesday evening, at 7:45 against Newcastle at home, and goal of the month for November, December. A few to pick from with yesterday's game. There wasn't many up to that, of course, and a small tribute to PELE at the very end. So plenty to discuss. We go to yesterday's review. So a 4-2 away win against Brighton, of course. Goals by Martinelli and Nketiah. Finish it off, lads.
Saka, Odegaard.
Yeah, Saka, Odegaard, Eddie Nketiah, and Martinelli.
I'll go to Eamon. What did you make of the game, Eamon?
Well, as I say, all is quiet on New Year's Day. I want to be with you night and day. I will be with you again. And they were a decent partnership for Bono and the Edge, but not as good a partnership as Terry and Don. I was very pleased with it. I'll tell you what now. First of all, I just want let's start at the beginning and I'll be snappy. The first goal didn't look much, but it was playground stuff. The way Bukayo Saka made that look easy is the gift of a great player. The first touch, to get it under control the way he did, and it was as if he was just dusting about in a playground. He was so cool. So it was a great start. One thing I noticed yesterday, and also, again, it emanated from a ball recovery by Thomas Partey, who didn't have his best day yesterday. In fact, himself and Saka were not as good as normal, but the ball recovery for the second game running gets us a goal. One thing I noticed was Aaron Ramsdale's being targeted for a lot of obstruction at corner kicks, and it nearly cost us. It nearly cost us an equaliser. Saliba got a header off the line, and I think we were in a nice bit of control of the game for the first 20 minutes, and then Anthony Taylor went mad. He started issuing yellow cards as a reaction to crowd noise, and I think that changed the whole dynamic. I also noticed a plastic bag on the pitch. And when the corners were swirling in with the wind, I was wondering, how come the plastic bag isn't blown? How does that work? I mean, I'm not an expert in physics, but that was fascinating me. We know that Odegaard was again sensational. The second goal, he owled it. I read a column this morning. Saying that somebody thought he actually meant it, and it's possible. Because that was a technique that Ozil used to do regularly, bang it into the ground and nobody can read the bounce. The third goal, we've only one player who's going to get that goal, and that's Eddie Nketiah, because he absolutely snuck in behind Lewis Dunk. He snuck in behind him. Dunk didn't know he was there. And it was a real poacher's instinct goal. And it looked like a tap into an empty net. But if you look at it again, if he just goes at that, the keeper blocks it. To get a touch across the goal the way he did was a real Eddie goal. And I told you about him on this show, that we couldn't afford to lose him. and I'm delighted he stayed. And I remember some of the meltdown about, Vlahovic and all of this type of stuff. And I would rather that we held on to Nketiah.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a meltdown about, when Balogun was struggling to sign a contract, we're going to be a selling club. We can't have it both ways. You can't develop your best talent, right, and hold on to it, and then block their path to the first team by just signing some careless kickball, So I'm glad we held on to Nketiah, and Balogun is pulling up trees over at Reims. He scored 10 goals. So there's a few there. Just a couple of more things. I remember when City beat us 1-0 2 seasons ago at the Emirates, and we didn't lay a glove on them, but we didn't disgrace ourselves. And after the game, Guardiola says, Mikel knows everything about football. And some people thought at the time it was a little pat in the head and it was a bit patronising. I actually thought he meant it. I'm beginning to think that Arteta is one of the most informed students of the game that there is, because in his pre-match comments, he talked about the way Brighton dominate spaces, the way Brighton dominate, and we actually allowed them have the ball yesterday. We didn't own the ball. We had more chances than they had out of 1/3 possession, and it wasn't because we were losing duels. Sometimes when you can't get possession of the ball, it's because you're losing duels all over the pitch. That wasn't the case. We actually made a conscious decision to let them have the ball, so as they didn't dominate in the way that that the game wasn't played on their terms. I think Saliba needs his mojo back. He looks a bit rusty. I enjoyed Paul Merson and Glenn Murray yesterday, and it's great to see Merce showing his true colours. For years and years, people thought he'd gone off the club, but he was uncontrollable in the commentary team yesterday. And one last thing, I read Mikel's interview this morning, and he said the thing that made him the most happy. He said, we didn't play particularly well. We didn't do things, the way we could have. But what made him most happy was when he arrived in the dressing room, that the players were talking amongst themselves about what they could have done better. And I think that is the sign of a team that is has a good bond. No finger pointing, no finger wagging. What could we have collectively done better? And he said that's what made him most pleased. So that's my take on it. It's a very difficult place to get results, and they've been a bogey team for us. So a very welcome 3 points. I am going to confess, when it went to 4-2, I switched it off. I could not bear another Newcastle. And then I got a notification to say it was 4-3. And there I was feeling smugly justified. And then I saw it was chalked off. So I found myself the gumption to put it back on again. But it was nerve-jangling. But look, we've got a lot of firepower in this team. And it was a very, very good 3 points.
Yeah, I think with Brighton missing Caicedo and Alex McAllister was a big loss for them. But Evan Ferguson at the Republic of Ireland, only 18 years old, a former Bows player, out-muscled Saliba, and that takes a lot of doing, and took his goal very well. But Saliba and Gabriel are having a bit of a dodgy 2 games back, but I'm sure that will be ironed out as the campaign goes on. Out of 154 Premier League games, that was Arteta's 92nd win, which is quite not too shabby at all. And he's a better win record than Arsene Wenger. Best Arsenal man, isn't he? He's the best win ratio now of any Arsenal manager. That's quite doing in 3 years. The 2 turning points probably was the goal after the first minute by Saka in the first half, and Eddie Nketiah's after 2 minutes in the second probably really died Brighton spirit. But there was a stat that came up in the first minute that we hadn't scored a goal in the first 15 minutes this season, and Nketiah put that to bed after a minute. So that was quite nice. The 6th Premier League goal of the season, and 2-2 now, wasn't he? Scored against West Ham. It could have been even 2-0 after 3 minutes when Zinchenko, that turn he made on Dunk, superb. It was like Nketiah the other night. Todd Boyd was great on his comeback as well, and Martin Odegaard's assist for Martinelli, and then to outpace Lamptey. It takes some doing to do that on Lamptey, but what a finish. And that front 3 scored again tonight, last night and Monday night. So very encouraging without Gabriel Jesus, who wasn't really missed at all. And that's very encouraging with him being out for a few more games. Sorry, I'll go to Ozzy. What was your take on the match last night, Ozzy?
Yeah, firstly, I'm gonna reference our predictions last week about the Brighton game. I think we all said it'd be a goal in it, or we might take a draw. But yeah, so the fact that we got 6 goals in that game did make me laugh somewhat after the game. But no, I think me, myself, and Amy both said about the midfield being key against Brighton, and I think the reason why you saw quite a reserved performance from Partey and Saka was, I think it was exactly that. They reserved it and controlled it, and just let the frightening front four of sort of Saka, Martinelli, Eddie, and I'll put Odegaard in that as well because how he was playing. I thought, even though Partey and Saka it weren't one of their most standout performances, they just controlled it. And I think had Brighton been at full strength in midfield, it might have been a bit different game. But they did their job. They did their job well. And Eamon may reference that Partey challenge. That was such an important challenge because they're breaking away at that point. He comes in, he takes the ball off, and next thing you know, Saka sticks the ball in the back of the net. So I think the timing that we've played Brighton's been very fortunate with what's happened with them. But ultimately, you can only play what's in front of you, and I thought they did a very good job of that. I thought that front four of Odegaard, Eddie, Saka, and Gabby just frightened them, and you could see that. And for me, there was a bit of a turning point. I'm quite a positive person. I thought it was quite a positive display. Yes, it was nervy at times, but you're not going to go to Brighton and not have a nervy game. Let's be honest. They're a good side. We said that last week. So full respect to them. They've got a good side, good coach, and I think they're going to do well. So I say just timing probably worked on our benefit to get that 3-0 up. What a big turning point for me, I saw it's around about 60-minute mark. We changed. I think it's KT came on and Tommy Asu came on for Ben White, and I think that upset the back four. If I'm honest, I think that was a big turning point for us. Albeit I've got every trust in KT and Tommy. I just think they came on and I thought that probably give Brighton a bit of a, I don't know, because they were getting nothing with Ben White and Zinchenko. I thought Zinchenko was fantastic yesterday as well. I thought he had that transition. We always talk about the difference in his transition. Him and Partey, I just loved the way they work together. So I thought that was a big difference, and it did make a difference because the substitutes made on 60. I think they scored on 65. All right, if what Bob saying. And they got a couple of goals, and it did make it a bit nervy. But yeah, we held it. I think we'd have snapped their hands off if someone offered us a 4-2 at the start of the game. I certainly would have. I was really happy with that. And for me, that was the difference. That substitution, it just upset the dynamics in defence a little bit. What I will say is the Eddie Nketiah goal, very similar to the Martinelli. He's doing that thing of bombing down the wing and hitting that shot early at the near post.
Yeah.
If that had gone in, that would have been an identical goal to the West Ham game.
But Ozzy, just on that, people don't realise the venom that he has in that left foot. That's supposed to be his weaker side. That's supposed to be his weaker side. That was a cannonball shot. That's why the keeper couldn't hold it.
Yeah, you know? and that's it. Like if that had gone in, I'd have looked a carbon copy of the West Ham game, wouldn't it? Hit it early, keeps the keeper off guard. But like you say, when you've got people like Eddie Nketiah coming in, when he's hitting shots like that, he's like you said, he's a poacher. He's the Ian Wright type player. He's a goal scorer. And I think he'll really benefit from that if we keep doing that. And Martinelli, I thought was unplayable. I think he had playing 3 of the goals. I think his first shot was the one that deflected to Saka. The Eddie Nketiah and the one he put in himself, pretty bad goalkeeping for the 4th one. But ultimately, he put it in the back of the net, didn't he? So interesting start on the possession as well. I thought, I think they had 68% or something like that. So that's again, like you said, we let them play. So no. And finally, from me, in terms of what I'm going to say about sort of Saliba, he had a bad game. We got to remember he's 21. Let's not have a meltdown. He's just come back from a World Cup.
100%.
He's going to be disappointed. He's gone to a World Cup. He got to the final. I know he weren't playing much, but he was part of that squad that got to the final and lost. He probably hasn't come across much of that, so he's going to knock him a bit. Just keep playing him, keep supporting him.
Absolutely. That's why I said, Carl, he just needs to get his mojo back more so than, he just needs to find himself again,
Yeah, and watching him just like celebrate, the way he celebrates with the team when we score, he's always one of the first running, belting over there. I think he'll be all right. And we just need to keep supporting him. He's 21. He's going to have a odd games, and we've had this with other youngsters in the team. We just got to keep positive and keep behind him. But yeah, no, I thought it was brilliant. And I know you referenced, John, that Odegaard pass.
Yeah.
We should be doing pass of the month this month anyway, not rather than goal and everything, because that was amazing, wasn't it? Fabregas-esque.
He's got a picture in his mind before he even gets the ball where he's going to put it, and the players seem to be on the same wavelength as him now as well, It's not just fluke, that was meant for Martinelli, but the pace to get away from Lamptey.
But Jonathan, you wouldn't remember me playing the game. You see, this is the thing. That's what Liam had. Like Liam, as Don Howe said about Liam, he's great imagination. He sees pictures, Martin Odegaard has that, just as the ball is coming to him, he has a picture as to what's going to happen next. So he sees Martinelli tight to the touchline. He sees a whole pile of space. He knows Martinelli. He knows that Lamptey has to turn, and he puts it like a golfer up the fairway. It was an incredible pass.
Yeah, and also what with Odegaard as well, the way he's acting off the pitch as well. The interviews he's giving, I just think he's doing a great job as captain, and he really is. I think I know I was critical of him in big games and start saying I got cold sweats about that. I wake up in the night, ruin those comments that I've made about what I've said about him initially not turning up in big games.
What about the little shift in the box and the nutmeg?
It's something else, isn't it? Even Rio Ferdinand's been saying he could watch it on repeat. Rio Ferdinand, he don't like us. He's coming out with that. I think it's good to listen to the pundits as well, because I think everyone's we raised a lot of eyebrows yesterday. There was a lot of pundits' eyebrows going up. I think Gary Neville will be sort of keeping quiet at the moment. I don't know if he said anything, but a few people have tweeted him high profile. But
stay humble, my friend.
Exactly. I'm trying to stay as humble as I can, but that lot up the road are losing 2-0 at the moment.
Yeah. It's been a
couple of minutes to go. So results have gone our way this weekend, haven't they, as well?
Yeah. Newcastle drawn to Leeds, City drawn to Everton. Craig said, and I quote, "I don't really rate Everton," and then Demarai Gray scores a scream like that. There you go.
Is that how it happened? I didn't see
it. He had time to fall over in the box before he hit it.
Yeah, what a strike! And that's what Everton can do. That's not respecting the opposition as well. I think City thought Everton were done a roll over. And I think when Brighton scored that second, lads, there was this thing about the Sky Sports commentator that they were hoping Arsenal would fall. And I'm getting that a lot off.
It's just drama. It's just drama. That's all it is. They want to sell drama.
I don't think Sky want teams like us winning the league, I'm just getting that.
They never did.
Well, that's another thing, but
I think they were important.
It's the first time I've seen Paul Pearson really be optimistic now that we can win it. He's coming out and saying that, there is this real chance for us now to get through January. And then I think he can start dreaming then that, it's in our hands now.
Let's just stick to Martin Odegaard. One game at a time. Let's enjoy it.
I don't want to, Ozzy. I want to look the bigger picture.
No, let's enjoy it. Let's just enjoy it. I'm going to say. And also.
As I say, we won one game. Get over it. Move on.
A win. I think what helped us as well, lads. I don't know what you think, but scoring that early goal after a minute silence the Brighton fans, and then 2 minutes in the second half really killed the Spurs.
Let me tell you something. Our away fans
outsang them.
Outsing Brighton fans every time we play there. Anyway, our away support is unbelievable.
It is.
Yeah, you could hear it throughout the game, couldn't you? It was brilliant. And fair play to the away fans. I always think they give a better show themselves than at home. But
the players are acknowledging it as well.
Yeah.
They can take it too. I know Saka's came out and said that. And so brilliant.
Zinchenko as well. I saw on his Instagram. He says the Arsenal away fans were on fire. And I think he's brought him and Jesus has definitely brought a winning mentality, from winning leagues with City. You can see that even Merson quoted that last night. For someone so young, they're looking up to him, which is great, I suppose my match, lads, I'd give it to will be it would be between Odegaard and Martinelli, but I'd probably have to give it to Odegaard just for that assist alone. It was just beautiful to look at over and over. I'll go to you, Eamon. Who was your man of the match?
I'm going to do something slightly different, and it's because for the sign of greatness in a player is when he receives the ball at his feet and you hear the hum in the stadium. And if you watch it on Arsenal.com for Bukayo Saka's goal, right? He terrorized them on that side, right?
Yeah.
If you Jeremy Aliadier, who's brilliant, by the way.
He's
doing the co-commentary, and as soon as Saka takes the touch, he just goes, "Oh, what a touch!" or whatever way he speaks in his kind of fuck me French, you know. Yeah. Oh, what? As soon as he took it down, he says, "Oh, what a touch," you know.
There's a twang of London and French in that, isn't there, Amos?
Yeah. So I'm going to give it to Bukayo Saka because I just thought that he terrorized him. But again, like it's a flippable coin. Odegaard was excellent, and Martinelli was also. The thing I like about Martinelli is he seems to draw the fullback into thinking that he's going to do the same thing all the time. So the first 3 or 4 times he receives the ball, he goes inside.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and he cuts back.
and then if you look at both the incidents that Ozzy referenced, the West Ham goal and the assist last night, he actually just moves his body shape as if he's going to go inside again, and then just shifts. So the defender is off his axis, and that's how he gets the space. That doesn't look anything. But if you're trying to defend against that, you're trying to think, oh, Jesus, which way is he going to go now? You know? And he chooses a moment. He chooses the right moment to do it when he knows that, you know, I can get a shot away here. I have enough space to do it. Just feign to go right and then go left, you know? As Terry Venables would have said, he's got feet. he can go high, he can go low. Like he's got an head. He's got feet.
It's the quick starts. Minute go is frightening. You know, watching Arsenal, you know, we have the teams on the back foot the minute the ball is kicked off, and it would be having the youngest squad in the Premier League. You can see there's so much energy and enthusiasm, isn't there?
There is, Jonathan. But I'd urge caution on that because, like that again, you know, you would expect with the young team that if we do hit a bit of turbulence, that it could knock them a bit more than it would an experienced team, and we've got to be patient with that, you know.
Yeah.
But there's certainly, what I love about it is there's certainly a togetherness that hasn't been there since the 2007-2008 season when we should have won the league and would have won the league had Eduardo and Rosicky not got crocked.
Yeah. There's a different spirit though in this team, isn't there, from other squads we've had? It's just different, isn't it?
It's a young squad, but they've had some knocks already. Yeah. So we said at that Newcastle game last season, okay, it didn't feel great, horrible to go through as a fan, but they'd have learned so much from that. They would have learned so much from that. And when you look at the caps, you know, if you have a look at the stats and how many games these young lads have played, they're getting more experience, and it's only going to work better for them. We have to. Yes, there will be bumps in the road. We've always said that, haven't we? There'll be bumps in the road, but you know, they're more experienced than most people of that age. Yeah, so let's see what they do. Yeah, give them a chance.
I think I agree with what Merson says. It's the last 10 games of the season. If we're still in this position, is when the young squad will feel the heat. You know, and
he's been there. He was there in '99 with a very young squad himself.
Yeah.
And Jesus, I mean, you know, we were beaten at home by Derby and drew at home to Wimbledon.
Yeah.
When two home wins in the last 3 games would have won us the league. Now we'd have never got the Anfield '89, but you know that
I prefer not
he
to go that close again. I don't think I could hack you.
But Merson experienced it. But Merson's view definitively last night was, this is a serious team. You know, this is a side. And in fairness to him, when I go back to my pal Eddie Nketiah again, when there was the talk about he wasn't going to sign a contract, and he was after playing. I think we played Sunderland. the night young Patino scored, and I think Eddie got a hat trick, and Merson was saying, why would he seriously want to move to a mid-table team when there's clearly something going on at the Arsenal?
Yeah.
And that was February of last year. Merson was saying there's clearly something going on at the Arsenal, and it's just grown and grown. And maybe, in hindsight, maybe not getting the top 4 last year. That was a ball that bounced in their favour, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's what makes these players, isn't it?
Who stood out for you, obviously, last night?
Man of the match. So you've mentioned all the names that I had. Odegaard, Martinelli, and Saka. Odegaard for second week running, or second game running for me, just purely on that pass. I'm going to give him that pass, but again, I was close to saying Martinelli because he had a hand in so many of the goals. But yeah, I've gone for Odegaard just on that genius of the pass, and yeah, he's frightening yesterday. So yeah.
Well, another big shout though, lads, to Benjamin White.
Who
for the first hour, that lad, his name eludes me at the moment, that scored the first goal.
Mitoma.
He didn't get a sniff.
No.
Yeah, he does it effortlessly as well. Why doesn't he? And he gives it his all, game on game, which is he's a great baller. He's great with the ball at his feet as well, though. You know, he can come out with the ball, and I can see he could even play in midfield if he really, you know, he can. He's effortless, really, isn't he?
He's a good player. He's a good player, that Matoma. Just on that.
Yeah, he's quick, isn't he?
Very good. Yeah, very good player.
And I think we learn from that. You know, taking our foot off the gas. You know, we learn from that as to see. You know, I think Arteta will drill that into them. You know, when they go back to the train. You know,
but this is the point I'm making, Jonathan. That what Arteta said was that when he got into the dressing room, the players were having a post-mortem as to what happened.
Where they're talking about it themselves. Yeah, that's a good sign, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know?
Doing his job for them. Yeah, and it shows they're passionate about what their project is. Yeah, true. That one leaves us top with 43 points. 7 clear of City on 36, and 9 clear of Newcastle, who have 34. And that brings us to the preview for Tuesday's night game, which is on at 7:45. I think it was originally penned in for 8. It's on Sky. I know, Eamon, I think I'm right saying you were at last year's home game, weren't you, when Martinelli scored as well that day? How do you see the game yourself going?
It was a weird game, that one, because Newcastle were really struggling at the time. It was a wet out Saturday morning. There wasn't much of an atmosphere because it was a Saturday morning game, and we really struggled with them. I think John Joe Shelby smacked one off the bar in the first half. And they gave us a lot of trouble. They're hard to score against Newcastle, you know. So I think they're hard to score against, and I'm not trying to be a harbinger of doom here. And we don't do goalless. We concede in every game. We're not shipping goals. Like, our goals against Colin is good, but we're conceding them in every game, right? So this is going to be as much of an endurance test now as you're going to get. I think we still should have enough to win the game. I haven't seen much of Newcastle this year. I've just been looking at the results. But your man is a good coach. He is a good coach. You know? Yeah, he's a good coach. And he's taken. I mean, people can say about, well, they're owned by a country, but they haven't squandered that wealth yet. He's doing it off the back of most of the players that he had. He has them well coached, and I think if we get a 2-1 out of it, I'd be more than happy. You know.
Yeah.
More than happy.
I think everyone would agree we'd never thought Newcastle be toured. You know, they've gone about their business quite quietly. We've scored 14, Eamon, and conceded. Scored 40. And conceded 14. Yeah. Newcastle have scored 32 and conceded 11. So it's the best 2 defenses. You know, so that's going to shape the match, really, isn't it? You know, I like Nick Pope as well as a goalkeeper. You know, I think he's a good goalkeeper. You know, and they got him for the bargain as well. I think Joe Willock, lads, what do you think? Do you think Joe Willock could cause us problems? He's had a decent enough season, hasn't he, at the moment?
He's a good player when he's at us, to be honest. I thought. I quite like Joe Willock. But yeah, I think it's going to be... yeah, he's a good player.
Joe's biggest problem when he was with us was that his strength and conditioning hadn't fully developed. And when we went to the Crystal Palaces of this world, he got pushed off the ball quite a lot. But he's a stronger boy now, you know.
Yeah,
and he would have been a stronger boy had he stayed with us. But you can't keep them all, you know. So he's probably in the same kind of bracket as Sambi Lokonga at the moment, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so
he never got a run. He never got a big run, did he?
Yeah.
He never got a big run.
No. And I think one player that will trouble us as well. I think Guimaraes is a baller, but I think Miguel Almiron, his pace alone.
Yeah.
But I think Arteta will have them. You know, he'll have them sussed. You know, I think probably I'd probably go with a 2-0 like last year's home game. Being honest, you know, it will be a tight game. What's that?
It's going to be a tense game. It's going to be tense, you know.
Yeah. Yes, it's the evening games as well. They're always tense, aren't they? You know, you've all day to wait for it as well. And but I think the momentum we're on, you know, our home form is brilliant. We've won every game at home as well, haven't we? I think as well. So
but you can't do that all season, though. You know, I mean,
no,
there's got to come a time. There's got to come a time where I just find that from the point of view of momentum, right? We got a free pass yesterday because of the others dropping points. You know, so one of these days, it's not going to happen for us. We're going to be 1-0 down, chasing the game. If that happens, you'd like to think that we could at least get something out of the game, you know, rather than have your. I mean, when we went to Southampton, it didn't happen for us.
No,
we got something out of the game. That's a game we could have lost, you know. But we got something out of the game. So
and that's the main thing. Once you get something, yeah. And Southampton were fairly physical that day as well. Yeah, they got away with a few nasty tackles as well. I remember, yeah. Ozzy, how do you see the game going yourself? It'd be tough. Yeah, it has to be tough, won't it?
Yeah, I've put the same as Eamon, to be honest. I've put 2-1 on my notes here, but they have been in fine form. I honestly think Newcastle are going to upset a few people this season in terms of where they finish. I think Eddie Howe's done a great job. He, like you say, he's used the players he's got, but the people he's brought in fit his system, and I think he played very well. I think Joe Linton, Almiron, and Guimaraes for me are the standout three. I think Joe Willock is solid, and like I said, he's a good player. Just going back to Joe Willock, you know, when he used to play for us, we never got a run, but when he did play, he played with Saka and Guendouzi. I think it's quite a lot. Yeah. And I'm not being funny. And if he's playing with them two letters, you know, at the time, Saka was hothead, Guendouzi was a hothead. it was completely carnage in that middle, wasn't it? So he was playing with a different Saka. But yeah, I think Willock's solid for me. But I do think like Bruno Guimaraes and Almiron, Joe Linton, I think all of them could cause us damage. I know they went with Chris Wood, didn't they, at a week against Leeds, and they got held by Leeds. But I think, you know, I find Callum Wilson quite tricky to play against, and I think he might spend a few more minutes on the pitch against us because he caused us loads of problems last season. Yeah. But it'd be interesting to see how Saliba deals with him because he's not played against him. He's very physical. He's built like a rugby league player, that lad. So I'd be interested to see. I think he'll get more minutes, or he might start. I don't know. But then for me, big test ready. I think I said this on the last pod. Botman and Shah play the back, quite no nonsense centre halves.
Yeah.
If Eddie gets a goal against these, then people need to be giving Eddie some respect because they are physical. They'll try and kick him about. And I hope Eddie gets a real test for him, I think, against that. But yeah, I'm saying 2-1. That's what I've had in my notes, for this, and I'm going to stick with it. It's not going to be easy. I'll be delighted with a 2-1 win if we get 3 points. That's all I care about. How we get it, I don't really care. But yeah, fingers crossed we get 3 points.
Yeah, I go with that myself. 2-0 or 2-1, but yeah, I think a home win we'll get there, and then of course Spurs and United, and it completes kind of a tricky January. But we've come unscathed so far, aside from the United and the Southampton away game. So fingers crossed again on Monday. We go to goal of the month for November, December, lads. Myself, I'll probably go for the Gabriel Martinelli goal yesterday, just for the assist from Odegaard and the way he just skinned Lamptey and just through the goalkeeper's legs, just a picture of beauty. I'll go to you, Eamon. Your golden month for November, December.
Well, certainly. I mean, Odegaard's pass makes that what it is.
Yeah.
In fact, Martinelli, the goalkeeper, he went down like a credit union loan. So like you like to see them nestle in the net rather than kind of be kind of a goalkeeper's assist. My favourite goal actually was I'm probably biased here, and this is not I told you so. Was the way Eddie spun against West Ham.
That's what I'm going to go for.
Oh yeah. But because first of all, Ben White's flip up, right? Then the little intricate 1-2. Odegaard putting it into a space, and this looks nothing on TV. Odegaard putting it into a space that made Eddie's mind up for him. Yeah, and then Eddie executing it because the turn was good. But very often you can turn and then, nothing happens. But the way he found the far corner across the goalkeeper, that was my favourite goal.
Carl, there was a few crackers in his,
Just to copy Eamon again, I'm going to go with Eddie Nketiah. Proper striker's goal. I watched match. I don't even anyone watch match of the day that night or watch it the next day. Dion Dublin gives a real good analysis on that goal from Eddie Nketiah and how he's feeling behind for the what side the player is going to be and how he turns them. Really good analysis of that. Proper goal scorer's goal. Eddie Nketiah, West Ham, 100%.
Especially, and I think there's an opportunity here, especially with how much time he spent on the bench, because it must be so frustrating.
I'm going to finish my snowball to that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Eddie has really grasped the opportunity as well. The striker's instinct he had yesterday for that goal in the second half, just to nip in ahead of the goalkeeper, a really right type fox in the box like Franny Jeffers.
It's nothing like Franny Jeffers.
What a signing! What a signing! I thought he was going to score 100 goals in his career. There's so much build up.
It was more like Fanny Craddock. Remember the coup? Yeah.
I know he gave it his all. I just wish I had that pair of ears he had. I know some players just work out and some don't they?
We got a goal scorer in Eddie. We have. And Eamon said it all along. I've backed him up on that.
And he's grown, as Eamon said in the last podcast, he's grown into a man. Yeah, hasn't he? He's grown over the last season or two. You can see he's bulked up, hasn't he? He's really physical. Yeah,
he has. And do you know what? Something Johnny Giles was said, and there's a bit of the devil in him too there. There's a bit of devil in him. Eddie leaves his leg in at times,
Yeah, and he's done it yesterday, and he's not afraid.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Oh, he did. Yeah.
And it's another player that has bulked up just briefly is Saka, Nketiah.
Oh, definitely.
Jesus, the strength of him. It's just incredible for 21, so that's a goal in the month. A few crackers in there. We go to a small PELE tribute. 1,281 goals. Christmas cracker. What did you make of PELE, lads? I never got to see him, sadly. Eamon's probably the oldest one here. Eamon.
Yeah, I don't. But you see, he retired at 30. He retired in 1970. You see. So I never saw him play because I only watched my first game in 71. I've seen him playing a few exhibitions, and I saw him playing for New York Cosmos and all of that type of stuff. But I can only go by what the pros say. My own best I've ever seen, in my view, is Maradona, but I've never seen PELE. But he won 3 World Cups,
Yeah, that's shabby. Yeah, and retiring in his 30s as well.
He retired at 30 from international football. Yeah.
Jesus,
he retired after the 1970 World Cup.
Right.
I don't know whether you've ever seen footage of the 1970 World Cup. The commentary was mad. Yeah.
The commentary alone is brilliant, isn't it? You can barely hear it. It's so grainy. That was the header, wasn't it? Against off.
It was like something coming from Apollo 11 or something.
Looking at him, it looked like from space because he was just amazing. What's that Brazil team? It's just incredible.
Yeah.
1,281 goals in your career, though. That's just incredible.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, so another legend sadly gone with Diego Maradona as well from last year as well. Yeah. May he rest in peace. A true footballer in every way.
Brilliant photograph, by the way. I think it's in the Sunday Times today in the sports section. It's either the Times or the Independent. I have both. And it's 1981, and I'll finish on this because I know we're under time pressure. It's 7 Arsenal players on the Highbury pitch giving Pele a shoulder up. He came over to watch the game at some promotion, and it's a real stars and flares photograph. It's really, really good. I'll screenshot it and put it up. Yeah.
As long as it weren't Tony Adams holding him up, mate, because he's got form for dropping people.
Yeah,
you are Steve Morrow.
we wouldn't be talking about his death now. He probably would have died down on the spot, you know. Yeah.
So frustrating, Tony.
I'll put it up on the thread later.
Yeah, here's that'd be a good pub quiz question. Who celebrated in hospital after winning the League Cup? Steve Morrow. Jesus, what a player! And he only had about 10 pints the night before, Adam.
Half time,
yeah. It's 30 years since we last won the League Cup, just May, which is incredible. I'd just like to thank Eamon and Ozzy as always. Happy New Year to you, and thanks for coming on. And I'd just like to dedicate this show to the Dublin 15 Suicide Awareness. I done a virtual 5K yesterday, just aided them, and if you'd like to donate, they're on Facebook. So I always suicide's always there, you know, and it's just nice for it to be highlighted every now and again. You can catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel, and we'll be back again on Wednesday evening for the Newcastle review and the preview of the FA Cup game against Oxford next Monday. So until then, have a good New Year's Day evening, lads, and we'll see you again.
Havlin Noah Huna Accord, yeah. Okay.
Come on, Arsenal.
Happy New Year, friends. All right.
Take care, mate. See you,
Happy New Year. Thanks, lads.